Ladies, I'm here on that show. I'm here tonight on that show to recap Monday Night Raw tonight. Rode into Sacramento, California night. Go home show for WrestleMania. That featured some high intensity segments. I've seen Punk Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Nova Femi, Seth Rollins, and Gunther. You had some segments there. So let's get a recap. What was announced in advance? There wasn't even any matches in advance. It was just 3 segments. Seth Rollins and Gunther, Nova Femi, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns. So let's start here. Brock Lesnar, he signs a WrestleMania contract. So Chief Content Officer Triple H, of course, the game, Triple H has to kick off the show with Raw General Manager Adam Pearce, with the latter announcing that Brock Lesnar and Nova Femi will sign the contract for Sunday's match separately, avoiding any further brawls like the one they ended last week's show. We didn't get the contract signed. Paul Heyman introduced Lesnar, the Beast made his way to the squared circle. He yanked the contract before promising that this weekend no one will know his opponent's name. Heyman wrapped up the segment with a few words of warning for Nova Femi. No, short and sweet, to the point. It's exactly what it needed to be, especially if there was no physicality between them. Whether it stays that, obviously throughout the night, remained to be seen. But a good, short, sweet, to the point. Obviously there was some pre-tape video with Logan Paul and Austin Theory, hype show speed, whatever. Lyra Valkyria versus Charlotte Flair. For the first time, Charlotte squared off with Lyra in a one-on-one match. Found out for that fatal 4-way for the Women's Championship. Competitive match here. Valkyrie took advantage of the role model's interjection. Bayley interfered after Alexa did, I think. Valkyrie scores victory, whatever. It would have been great to see them, Charlotte and Lyra, in a longer, more prominently featured match, because they have good in-ring chemistry. It wasn't a great match. Just wasn't that long. Next, Stephanie Valkyrie. Cuts promo, joined Kathy Kelly in the ring. Squared circle, but before the first question was asked, Liv Morgan attacked. A brawl broke out between producers and referees, attempting to break it up. Tense hatred between these two led to several more shots between the two, including a verbal one that saw Morgan tell Stephanie, "I knew your mother was trash, but I didn't know she raised a little bitch." Segment ended with both women pulled apart, Morgan screaming uncontrollably. Thought this was pretty good, man. I feel with Rhea and Jade, I just haven't felt that intensity. I'll give her to be credit with this one, though. I gotta give them, Liv Morgan and Stephanie Valkyrie, credit. There wasn't really much of a story. The pivot to them literally just beating the shit out of each other has been great. It's one of those few feuds that you don't know who's gonna win. I wish they got night 2 over Jade and Rhea, but what are you gonna do? They didn't really much of a story for this one. They've just kind of done the best they can. It's just really beat the shit out of each other. Like, there's not really much effort from creative in the build. They're kind of just doing it themselves. It's more exciting, Jade and Rhea, even though it's been given less TV time than that. Backstage, Asuka confronted Io, calling her Rhea's sidekick, just 1 year removed from defending the Women's World Championship. She ended the segment, still ordering Kairi Sane to bring the dismay of the Genius of the Sky. The Usos and LA Knight versus the MFT. Who gives a fuck? The Usos and LA Knight defeat them motherfuckers. Who cares? I mean, I guess it was an alright match. I just didn't care, honestly. Seth Rollins attacked Gunther, so Gunther made his way to the ring to address his WrestleMania match with Seth Rollins before he could speak. Rollins attacked, sending him the World Champion screwing the floor. He rejoined the Architect in the ring and explained why it was personal for him to defeat Rollins. He said that instead of proving he was the best wrestler in the world, his WrestleMania 42 opponent aligned himself with Paul Heyman, so it was personal to him to expose Rollins for the fraud he is. The confrontation turned physical with the babyface standing tall and Gunther dismayed on the floor. So this provided much needed reasoning behind Gunther's attack on Rollins and why they will compete at WrestleMania. More importantly, it did in a way that made sense. He protects the, sanity in the ring, or how the fuck you say that word. Rollins claimed to be the best, but took the easy way out last year. Now he wants to expose him as a fake. easy, logical, and sets the stage for what should be maybe the best wrestling match at this year's show. So at least they're making sense of it. Pretty good segment here. Should be a banger. Io Sky versus Kairi Sane. So after weeks, showing compassion and empathy to Kairi Sane, they end up facing off one-on-one. Back and forth start the match gave way to Sane wrestling control of the match. Sky fought way back. Asuka had her momentum by interfering. Rhea made the save, only be jumped by Jade. Chaos ensued, allowing Asuka to interfere once more, cutting off and over the moonsault. Kairi Sane capitalized and scored the win. It's just a shame that WWE just uses Io Sky this way. It gets pinned clean by Jade. And there was interference here. She got pinned by Kairi Sane. We tried, guys. Sorry. Ain't gonna be no Io Sky at WrestleMania. Arguably one of the best wrestlers of last year, with one of the best long-term stories. Io and Asuka was right there, and somehow WWE decided she wasn't worthy of a spot on the card. It's disappointing. I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way. I've been saying it for weeks. I've said the biggest match they do was Rhea and Jade. Rhea and Io said they waste so much fucking time with them as the tag champions, and they decided to do Jade and Rhea as if anybody gives a fuck about that match. Just a shame. This company is just allergic to good wrestling. Sometimes, man. Night 2 has 6 matches. Night 1 has 7 matches. Why can't we not add one more match? Why? And why are we blending in Rhea and Jade with Io and Asuka? They made Jade look a little weak. Rhea's attention was on the Kabuki Warriors. For what reason? And most likely we'll get Kairi betrayal on the Raw after Mania. Anyways. Night 2 has 6 matches. Why can't we add Io and Asuka? Why? Oh no, we gotta have our 10-minute advertisements. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, say that when one of your favorites doesn't have a match at WrestleMania, and then tell me it's not that big of a deal. She's had multiple WrestleMania victories, so she should be on the card then. Dude, I show speed, and no disrespect to him, I like I show speed, but he's on the WrestleMania card. He hasn't even had a match in WWE. Stop. So, I'm giving up on them doing Asuka and Io, unless they do it on SmackDown, but I've gave up on it. Tried to say Asuka and Io, probably a fever dream. Tell me there's 13 matches, you can't add this. I give up. Cannot fathom this. But we can have Pat McAfee, I show speed, but we can't have Asuka, or we can't have Io on the show. And Asuka, she's pretty damn talented too. She's probably be in the tag match if the bells aren't in it, so that'd be basically saying, fuck Io Sky. It's a shame, man. This is a match that should have meant more than it did, and the fact that Sky and Asuka was not announced for WrestleMania just is so disappointing. And this felt like an incredibly forced way to get Ripley and Cardi on the show. And they didn't even do anything interesting. Obafemi signed the contract. This was amazing. He put so Obafemi strutted to the ring with Adam Pearce and Triple H. Signs the contract. He put pen to paper. He put over Brock Lesnar's opponent this Sunday night, claiming that everything he's built to this point will come crashing down in Vegas. Typical Heyman fashion, the wise man told the ruler that his door's always open if and when he's looking to rebuild his career. Femi responded with an impassioned promo that saw him reinforce himself as the ruler, the one, and the man who will conquer the conqueror this Sunday in Vegas. Now, must-have moment for Obafemi. The spotlight was on him. He came through big time, cutting a money promo. Fantastic. That set the stage with Lesnar, which should be one of the most memorable and buzzworthy ones on the card, because that's really been the one that's been hyped the last couple of weeks. John Evans and Dragon Lee versus Rusev and JD McDonald's. Evans and Lee beat Rusev and McDonough. Whatever. And we got the final hype for Roman Reigns and CM Punk. This is always going to struggle to replicate the buzz that last week's pipe bomb promo generated. With that said, it's all back and forth. They both got honest with each other for the first time in this build, delivering their final remarks. and who was Reigns referred to as the Bloodline, especially after Usos were so instrumental early on in this program. Or could Reigns in fact be aligning himself with McAfee and Reigns and Orton in the effort to turn pro wrestling to greatness they perceive as greatness? That was not a slip. That will play into the main event. But it was a solid back and forth. But overall, I'd say probably the MVP of the show was Oba Femi. Him and Brock Lesnar probably been the most valuable players of this WrestleMania 42 build, and probably Stephanie and Liv too. The rest of the show, just like the sense of urgency last week had, it was an average. Like, I give it a 6 out of 10. I guess it was an acceptable show. I've seen worse go-home shows, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. But that's about all I have to say here. So leave a like, comment, subscribe for more. Until next time, Alkalite. Peace.